All right, everybody, deep breaths. Because today we're taking a wrecking ball to everything you thought you knew about, well, everything. History, mythology, your own sense of self, it's all on the chopping block. We are diving into a paper that asks the one question that makes polite society very, very nervous.
Yeah, forget all those boring dates and kings you had to memorize. What if, and just stick with me here, what if all those epic tales of gods descending from the heavens weren't divine epics at all? What if they were humanity's first attempt at taking notes during an extremely awkward family reunion with the in-laws from another planet? Okay, let's get into it.
Before we get to the spaceships and the sky gods, we gotta start at home, right here on good old Earth. Because you see, this whole idea we have of neat little boxes for every species, turns out that's just a bedtime story we tell ourselves. Nature, it seems, is a bit of a chaotic, mad scientist. You know that perfect, orderly tree of life diagram from your high school biology textbook? Yeah, go ahead and tear that up. Total rubbish. The real tree of life is less of a majestic redwood and more of a tangled bush that's seen some things. You know, a shrubbery that's been out all night. Species don't just split off politely. They hook up, they merge, they get back together. It's called reticulate evolution, which is just a fancy way of saying nature's favorite hobby is messing around to see what works.
And that's the whole point, isn't it? This isn't some scandalous one-off thing. Hybridization is a feature, not a bug, in the operating system of life. It's how nature beta tests new models. It's not an error, it's the main engine of innovation, just throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. You want examples? Oh, we've got examples. Meet the coywolf, part coyote, part wolf, 100% successful survivor. Then you've got wild baboons, who don't really believe in strict genetic borders. They just kind of fade into one another. And then, oh yeah, there's us. You. Turns out, about 50,000 years ago, our ancestors weren't too fussy about who they were swiping right on, and now, most of us are walking around with a little bit of Neanderthal in us. So here's the kicker. If things are this blurry in our own backyard, why would we expect things to be any different when someone shows up from out of town? Okay, so life on Earth is a free-for-all. Got it. But what about the actual ingredients, the stuff we're made of? Well, it turns out the universe is less of a gourmet chef and more of a cosmic IKEA. It doesn't cook up a unique recipe for every planet. Nope, it just mass produces a flat pack DIY life kit and airdrops it everywhere. The fancy name for this is panspermia, but you can just think of it as the universe's oldest and slowest food delivery service. The basic building blocks of life, the very Legos we're built from, weren't invented here. They were delivered via meteorite express. Our planet didn't create life from scratch, it just followed the assembly instructions with the parts that were dropped off. And here's where it gets really wild. This isn't just some fringe idea anymore. A study in 2022 confirmed that count them, all 5 of the essential building blocks for our DNA and RNA have been found just chillin' on meteorites. That's the entire alphabet of life. The universe didn't just send us the parts, it sent us the full instruction manual. So let that sink in for a second. If we're all playing with the same Lego set, what does that mean for aliens? Maybe they're not going to be some kind of horrifying space squid. Maybe they'll look kind of familiar, like a weird cousin you only see at weddings. If we're all running on the same biological software, then maybe alien is just another word for long-lost relative. Right, so, recap. Nature is a messy mixer, and the universe uses the same recipe book everywhere, so what? What does any of this have to do with Zeus and his lightning bolts? Well, this is where it gets good. What if we stop reading those ancient texts as fairy tales and start treating them like voicemails? You know, ancient garbled messages left on humanity's answering machine? Just look at this. It's all about translation. When the old myths say gods came down from the sky, maybe they were just saying some folks showed up in a vehicle we didn't understand. And when they talk about heroes being born from gods and humans, maybe that's not a metaphor. Maybe that's just a literal description of what happened. We're not inventing anything here. We're just swapping out the old mystical dictionary for a modern scientific one.
And the craziest part? This story isn't a one-hit wonder. It's a global bestseller. You've got the doggone in Africa who knew things about the star Sirius that they had no business knowing and said some fish people told them. You've got Zulu lore talking about a burning light that came down and did some miracle healing. Tibetan shamans didn't worship sky people. They worked with them.
And all across the Americas, the Lakota, Hopi, Cree, they all talk about star people who were teachers. It's like everyone got the same memo. Okay, I can hear you shouting at the screen. The universe is huge. How could they possibly get here? And that is the big question, right? But the answer, well, it's hiding in the super weird brain-melting corners of physics, where scientists have stopped saying no way and started saying, well, actually. So you want to travel between stars? Easy peasy. Step 1, figure out quantum gravity. Just solve the biggest puzzle in all of physics. Step 2, fold space-time like you're folding a bedsheet. Step 3, pop open a wormhole. Step 4, try to show up before your destination invents pants. And look, I know this sounds like a sci-fi movie plot, but scientists are actually building little baby wormholes in quantum computers right now. So for a species that's a million years ahead of us, this might not be magic. It might just be their version of taking the express train.
And this is where Arthur C. Clarke absolutely nailed it. Think about it. If you're a Bronze Age farmer and a wormhole rips open in the sky, what do you call it? A magic gate. A spaceship landing? A flaming chariot? A doctor with a medkit? A healing god? They weren't lying in their stories. They were just describing high-tech physics using the only words they had.
So, where are we? We've gone through biology, chemistry, ancient history, and theoretical physics. And when you put all the pieces on the table, the picture that starts to form is, well, it's pretty wild. And honestly, a little bit hilarious.
Let's run it back. Biology says crossbreeding is totally a thing, so demigods are on the table. Astrobiology says we're made of the same cosmic dust, so we're probably related. Mythology says everyone on Earth was telling the same story about visitors. And physics says, yeah, they could have actually made the trip. Look, any one of these is just a fun what if. But when you stack them all up, it starts to look less like a what if and more like a what happened.
So why isn't this taught in schools? Why does it sound so crazy? Maybe it's because we have our own modern myth. The myth that we are special, that we're the only intelligent kids on the block and we did it all by ourselves. To even consider this other idea, it doesn't just rewrite history. It's a direct hit to our collective ego. Which brings us right back to the beginning, to the most awkward question of all. If nature says it's possible, if space delivered the parts, and if literally all of our great-great-great-great-grandparents were trying to tell us about it, then maybe those myths aren't myths at all. Maybe they're just chapter 1 of our family history. So the next time you send off one of those ancestry kits, you might want to wonder what kind of results they aren't telling you about.